All right, I'll take you back to Thursday night, Carlton Football Club versus Hawthorn. Did we see enough from the Blues to think they're trending in the right direction?
Well, if you look at the vision of Vossi after the game and talking to his troops, directly after it, and the demeanour there looked like we're on the right track. And his press conference basically spoke about that we're trying to do it a different way, and we're sort of thereabouts. But those numbers are pretty harrowing for the Carlton faithful and for the players and the coaches. But I mean, I suppose when you're coming from that, you're up against who has been the most consistent side this year, and the hot team from the end of last year in Hawthorn. And I think the inconsistency of some sides actually actually elevates what Hawthorn have been able to do in the first 3 weeks. So, Carlton worried them in some shape or form, but TDK and Paddy Cripps can't do any more. Like they've played 9 out of 10 games, 9 out of 10 games. It just hasn't been enough coming to the party with them to be able to get the chocolates.
Well, you predicted this, Bucks, didn't you? At the start of the season, although it might have been a misquote, but you predicted that the mid-range players needed to step up, and they haven't stepped up yet.
Yeah, I just think that even their most talented players, when there's a drop-off, they drop off too far. There's some of the G&D players that are in the middle that I really like. There's just too many of them that
they're experienced.
They're super experienced, and so when you see stats like that, you expect more. Yeah. But I mean, just because you're experienced doesn't mean you've got the cachet. There's a couple. I would say Sam Doherty, Nick Haynes, to name a couple. They look like physically that the game is a little fast for them at the moment. So that's a challenge. But you've got to coach around that. They're definitely not getting it on their terms. Carlton with that excitement factor, out of stoppage, bursting forward. Tall forwards that were launching at the ball, small forwards that were really putting pressure on, playing the game in their front half. Towards the end of 23, when we saw that was exciting as, and they were just playing together as a unit. It was pressure all over the field. We're not seeing that at the moment. So when you've exposed that level, and you don't find it for an 18-month period, the questions come because there's a reason why they're not there.
Yeah, I think too many rushes and fumblers at the moment. Yeah. For me, offensively they're really struggling, aren't they? And that's why you got a huge amount of respect for Sam Mitchell, because he just got his team playing full-on offensive football a few years ago, because that is the hardest part of the game to get right, the offensive cohesion and obviously ball movement.
Yeah.
But, you look at that, that's my concern, Geordie. If we look at the team the other night,
are they just not good enough? I think we did the exercise the other. So you look at all their experience, and then you put their team on paper. They're effectively nearly their best 22, and you say, how many of those players would automatically step into any other side in the competition? I think this is a really good gauge on where the team is at. And what have we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Mackay and Jagger Smith with an asterisk. He's only starting out his career. So 5, maybe 6 players with the experience that they've got would step into every side in the competition. I think if you look at the Geelong, you even look at the Hawthorn, it's probably 10 to 12 players. So maybe they just a little bit of what you're saying.
Brisbane or the Premier.
Brisbane would be the same. So that's the challenge for sides, to try and put together a team of players that would be able to play in 18 other sides. 5 just isn't enough.
I think that gets elevated. Like the number of players that would play in other sides is elevated, one by form, winning form by that team in that moment, and you might carry 3 or 4 or 5 along that. If they were in Carlton's position, so I really think that young Ollie Hollands has shown some great stuff on the wing, and potentially has shown the wherewithal to become a small defender.
But genuinely walk into every 18 side.
No, I understand that. And I'm a fan of Matty Cottrell. I think he would find a game in other teams, not on talent, but just on work rate and guts and determination. But
I'm not sure he's getting a game for Brisbane. I'm not sure he's getting a game for GWS.
Well, maybe not, mate. But I'm talking about the blokes that will empty out. But then once you those 5 get a game everywhere else, these guys you can absolutely rely on to empty out every week. There's probably still a list of 8 to 10 that are there that you've got real question marks on their capacity to reach AFL level consistently. And it's pretty hard to build a team around that. But
they've got
if the team structure was right, and the way it was at the back end of 23, then everyone lifts. Everyone looks like they know what their role is.
That's back into 23 though. Well, that's a prelim final. So quarter time of a prelim final, which they lost comfortably, by the way. we still get caught up in that first quarter, the prelim final. Still a long way away from that. It's 18 months since then, since we've seen that type of footy. Have they got those too many role-type players in their team? And we get caught up in the big guns and go, geez, how good of a list is Carlton? When you put that list up and you go, oh, geez, maybe they're not.
It's going to take a coaching masterclass, I think, on Friday night from Michael Voss. He's got it in him.
We found a better way forward, there's no doubt, after tonight. I mean, that's a great oppo to play against. Very classy. And I felt like a lot of our, if you want to call it, system was standing up, and maybe some moments we didn't quite get right.
Yes, a couple of feisty coaches this week. I think the Scott twins took the votes in the Grumpy Coach Award this week. No doubt about that. Well done to Brad and Scott. Right, we have to talk Carlton. They're under the pump early. Kingy, where do you think the adjustment needs to happen?
Well, the game now is the hunt for quality, okay? And I just want to show some vision. I think they're only one handball short of being back to their brilliant best. And that sounds stupid when we question how they're playing and do they need to make change. Look there, you pop that in board and you continue your flow. You got players out in the corridor everywhere. One extra handball simply adds quality and destroys the positioning of those that are taking dominant or assertive positions behind. Take your grass. Keep running, create an overlap. You've got a player who's charging on the inside. You know Sicily's going to track off. They just weren't brave enough with the footy. We showed this with the North Melbourne Football Club on Wednesday night. This is exactly the same. You've got numbers out everywhere. You've got to use them. Look, as soon as you leave an out number, you're basically giving the ball to the opposition where they've got their out number. Same thing here. Why wouldn't you step inside? Why wouldn't you maintain that 2v1 advantage? They go to a contest. Who knows whether you win that or not? But you give it back to the opposition. Look, same again here. They're out everywhere. Out everywhere. Keep running. Take your grass. You've got Cottrell on the fly with good speed. So I think they're just one handball short, one forward handball more often than not, of getting their game back on track.
It's good vision, and that is spot on. And that's the challenge, is they need to train that. It's got to become habitual and something instinctive. And to do that too, you've also got to be prepared to embrace the pressure, embrace some heat, draw a man, take a tackle and give it like we see the good players and good teams do. And then you get easy looks, and they'll get much easier goals. You've been talking about everything's hard, because when you're kicking the ball from the wing, it's too hard to get good looks.
Outside game can take him to the next level potentially for Carlton.